Almost everyone has quietly landed in the same place. AI is going to take a lot of jobs, maybe most of them, and so we are going to need some kind of universal basic income. A check that shows up every month whether you have work or not. You will find people in every camp who have ended up here. Tech founders, union organizers, left, right, okay, let's say they are right. There is one question that ends every single one of these conversations and nobody likes the answer. Who pays for it? Because if your answer is a tax on wages, you are taxing the exact jobs that are disappearing. And if your answer is a tax on everything we buy, you are squeezing the people who already have the least. So the idea collapses every time right on that question. Here is the thing, that question already has an answer. It is about 150 years old, and the man who worked it out very nearly became mayor of New York. His name was Henry George. In the 1870s, he was a broke printer and journalist in California, staring at something that did not make sense. The country was getting richer every year. Railroads, factories, brand new cities. And right alongside all that progress, poverty was getting worse, not better. The richer the country got, the more crushing the bottom got. George wanted to know why. He wrote a book about it called Progress and Poverty, and it became one of the best-selling books of the entire century. People read it like scripture. In 1886, he ran for mayor of New York on the strength of it, and he came in second ahead of a young Theodore Roosevelt who came in third. And then almost everyone forgot him. Not by accident, hold that thought. Here is what George figured out. Picture a plot of dirt in the middle of Manhattan. It is worth a fortune. Now picture an identical plot of dirt out in rural Kansas. It is worth almost nothing, same dirt. So where does the Manhattan price actually come from? Not the owner, it comes from everyone else. Millions of people built the city around that plot. The trains that reach it, the hospitals, the shops, the crowds. The whole community poured value onto that one square of ground, and the person holding the deed just happened to be standing there to collect it. Nobody made the land. It was here before all of us. We did an episode where the Queen charges you rent to speak a language you helped build. Owning a patch of the earth you did not make and charging the people who use it is the exact same move. So George had a proposal, and it is sharper than it sounds. Stop taxing the things people actually do. When you tax someone's wages, you are punishing them for working. When you tax everything they buy, you are punishing them for living. Tax those things and you get less of them. Less work, less trade. That is just how taxes behave. You get less of whatever you put a tax on. Now notice how backwards that is. Working and trading are the two things an economy should want more of, and we put a toll on both. Meanwhile, the things we want less of, hoarding land you are not using, dumping smoke into air that belongs to everyone, mostly ride free. So turn the machine around. Take the tax off what people make and put it on what nobody made. What happens when you tax land? Nothing bad. The land does not pack up and leave. Nobody stops making land because nobody was making it in the first place. You can tax the value of land hard and the land just sits there, exactly as much of it as before. It is the one tax that does not drag the economy down with it. And this is not some fringe lefty idea. Milton Friedman, the patron saint of the free market, called a tax on the value of land the least bad tax there is. The value the community created flows back to the community. Hand it to people directly, and it even has a name: a citizen's dividend. And if that still sounds like a fantasy, it is running right now. Alaska. Since the 1980s, the state has taken the money from a resource everyone there collectively owns, its oil, and paid every single resident a check every year. Not the poor, not the deserving. Everyone, just for being a part owner of something nobody made. It has paid out for 40 years straight. Nobody in Alaska calls it socialism. Politicians run on protecting it. Norway did the bigger version. It took its oil money and built a sovereign wealth fund now worth over $1 trillion held for the entire nation. Same logic every time. There is a thing nobody made. We all own a slice of it. So the rent gets shared out instead of pocketed by whoever planted a flag on it first. By now somebody is yelling at the screen, forget the dirt, tax the billionaires. Fine, but ask the question this channel keeps asking. How did anyone get that rich in the first place? Private property, deeds, investments, patents, platforms, on down the list. Pull apart almost any giant fortune, and at the bottom you find a claim on something nobody made. Land under a city the city built. A fence around knowledge everyone contributed to. A platform charging rent on other people's conversations. The fortune is the collected rent on a commons. So taxing the rich and collecting the rent on what nobody made are not two competing ideas. The second one is the first with better aim. It catches the wealth at the spring it flows from before it piles up into something that can afford lobbyists. Now look at AI. What were these models actually built out of? They were trained on the collective writing, the art, and the code of basically everyone who has ever been online. We did an episode about a handful of companies pouring their labor into an ocean of everyone's work and strolling off owning the result. That data is a commons. The intelligence in these systems did not come from one company in San Francisco. It came from all of us, the same way the value of that Manhattan plot came from the whole city. And here is the trap nobody says out loud. Almost everything we fund, the schools, the roads, the safety net, rides on taxing the two things we want more of, people working and people trading. Income tax, payroll tax, sales tax. So if AI really does replace human work, you cannot tax your way out of it by taxing workers because the workers are the thing that is disappearing. The tax base evaporates at the exact moment you need it most. You would be trying to fund everyone's living off a kind of work that is heading out the door. The math does not close. So when people ask who could possibly pay for all of this once the machines do the work, George answered that back in 1879. You do not tax the shrinking pile of human wages. You collect the rent on the commons the machines were built from, and you hand it back to the people who built it without ever being asked. The new land is data. The dividend is the same idea. The fear is real. The jobs really are going to move, but notice that the scary part is never the machine itself. It is the question of who gets the harvest. And that question has had a workable answer for 150 years, sitting inside a best-selling book everyone was gently encouraged to forget. Buried, not disproved. The people collecting the rent had every reason to help the forgetting along. The land belongs to everyone, so does the language, so does the ocean of work these models quietly learned from. Stop taxing people for the crime of working and start collecting the rent on the things nobody made. That is not a handout, it is a refund.